Hi folks, it's Todd Dills here with the week's news from Overdrive, the voice of the American trucker. Contract and spot freight volumes were on opposite paths in the month of June. Contract volumes flat to falling and spot volumes surging. Reflecting the contract market, the American Trucking Association's seasonally adjusted for-hire truck tonnage index lost another 1.5% in June, after falling 1% in May. Year to date, compared with the same 6 months in 2020, tonnage is up just a hair. The bit of good news in the update was that tonnage levels remain slightly above 2020 levels for the same month. Supply chain issues are likely putting some downward pressure on tonnage in the contract market, and upward pressure on volumes in the spot market, where many independent owner-operators and small fleets do business. At least that was the case in June, reported DAT Freight and Analytics. The DAT truckload volume index sat at 237 in June, 11% increase compared to May, and a record high. Contract truckload rates set records for van, reefer, and flatbed in June easily. Load posts on DAT load boards and elsewhere were on the decline overall, however. That's continued at truckstop.com too, the first few weeks of July. The load board network with FDR Transportation Intelligence charted a decline last week in both dry van and refrigerated volume on the spot market. Overall market temperature was on a decline last week too. Total load postings in the truckstop.com system fell 5.6% during the week ending July 16th. June typically marks a peak in the market, but additional stimulus is once again hitting the economy. Child tax credits started arriving in bank accounts last week. Many supply chains are still constrained, and capacity remains tight for a variety of reasons. Analysts noted that all of this is leading to support for spot market volumes, even if they aren't staying at the very high levels of last year. The percentage of the load or revenue has risen to predominance over many years as the number one compensation structure for owner-operators leased to motor carriers. Nearly 8 in every 10 leased owner-operators in Overdrive's audience today are compensated on a percentage model, according to the magazine's recent 2021 compensation survey of owner-operators leased and with authority, small fleets, and company drivers. It hasn't always been that way. As Overdrive reported just about a decade ago, for about 20 years following 1980's deregulation of pricing in freight markets, miles pay rose in prominence, given the shock of the post-deregulation rates freefall. The guaranteed aspect of miles pay appealed to those who were looking for more predictable income in a market they no longer understood. That's the thing about percentage pay. Those who excel under it, many watchers note, have the ability to negotiate rates with carrier agents or otherwise, at the very least, exercise load choice to capitalize on local markets where they know supply and demand metrics favor them. There's plenty of evidence from the compensation survey we conducted that more owner-operators are putting that market knowledge into practice. For more in-depth information on pay packages for leased owners and company drivers too, access Part 3 in our Pay Trends series at overdriveonline.com. Governors in South Dakota and Wyoming have issued emergency declarations that suspend hours of service regulations for fuel haulers with deliveries bound for those states. The declarations apply to drivers hauling gasoline, diesel, and aviation fuel. Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, meanwhile, clarified its emergency declaration rules, noting that the hours of service waiver continues to apply to a driver after he or she has delivered the load as long as he or she is returning to pick up more emergency relief supplies. The South Dakota waiver is set to expire no later than midnight, August 16, and the Wyoming waiver will expire no later than August 20. Landstar leased owner-operator Dennis Bramblett has been running a 2000 Western Star he put together with associates for the past 5 years, after the rig sat for another 5 before that. As of last week, however, he's the proud owner of a 2022 Volvo VNL 64T that he won July 13 as part of Landstar's annual All-Star Truck Giveaway. This year's All-Star Truck Giveaway finalists were randomly drawn from a pool of Landstar's more than 1,000 million-mile or more safe drivers and so-called Roadstars. The Roadstar designation is the company's highest honor for truck owner-operators, awarded to the quote-unquote best of the best, based on high levels of safety, productivity, and customer service excellence. Bramblett of Hannibal, Missouri, is a 1 million safe mile honoree. and now the proud owner of that new truck. Broker Uber Freight is set to acquire the Transplace 3PL for approximately $2.25 billion. The acquisition, pending approvals and closing, will consist of up to $750 million worth in common stock of Uber Freight's parent company, Uber Technologies, and the remainder in cash. Uber Freight will acquire Transplace from TPG Capital, a private equity firm. The acquisition would move Uber Freight into intermodal, cross-border, and LTL freight to an extent, though the company said its brokerage will continue to operate independently from Transplace's managed transportation services. There's a truck show in the offing out west on the site of the Pacific Northwest Truck Museum in Brooks, Oregon. The Oregon Trail chapter of the American Truck Historical Society will host the 28th Annual Brooks Truck Show August 27 to 28 on the grounds of Powerland Heritage Park in Brooks. Former driver and museum volunteer associate George Ruellens shared this announcement with Overdrive with a note about past editions of the show to give participants a feel of what to expect. He noted in the past that 400 rigs had shown up for the weekend. This year, the truck show will be free for registration and public admission both. You can find more about it at overdriveonline.com.